Hey, my Chemo Kitchen friends, is Bob, and I'm going to make a recipe today that Ethan Stoll from Ethan Stoll Restaurants in Seattle generously donated to our cookbook. And it is Delicata Squash that we're going to cut into some half moons, that we're going to saute in a pan and then roast in the oven. And we're going to drizzle it with some beautiful chestnut honey, a couple tablespoons of butter, some pepitas, and some Italian parsley. So let's get going. So this is a delicata squash. You've probably seen them in the supermarket, and if not, they're these beautiful little oblong squash that are usually yellowy orange in color. Sometimes they're pale and white and have some speckles of green on them. Either way, they're scrumptious. You can see the insides of them here. What we're going to do is first wash them, and then we're going to cut the ends off like this. One end, two ends, and then we're going to cut them in half. So just like this, down the middle, and there you have it. Here we have two halves of a delicata squash. Now, here in my trash bowl, it's not trash really, it's my compost bowl. I'm going to scrape away these seeds and the insides. Now, of course, these seeds, if you wanted to separate them from what's called the guts here of the squash, you could do that, rinse them off, let them sit on some paper towels to dry for a little while, and then roast them in the oven, like at 350 on a sheet pan with a little parchment paper. Maybe you want to just have a little bit of olive oil on them, a little bit of salt. Roast them at 450 for 12 minutes maybe. And they will come out so beautiful, and you could use them as a garnish in this dish. So that's what they look like. That's a delicata squash. Now let's get some cut into half moons here, and we'll do this maybe in a little fast motion here. So let's get them. They're about 3/4 of an inch to an inch, just like this. Now, you notice I'm leaving the skin on. In delicata squash, the skin, once it's cooked, it's tender. You can eat the skin, and it's got great fiber. This is full of beta carotene. So good for you when you're, for any time, but as you're going through chemo, you want to be able to get as much nutrition as possible. So here we go. Beautifully cut. There's two of them. All right, let's walk over to this pan and see what we got going on. So the recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And so I've got a pan, I've got a cast iron pan on medium high. There we go. That's nice. And let's get some of the squash in. And we're going to brown the squash on both sides. Then we're going to put it into a baking dish, and then that baking dish will go into the oven. Well, let's get this brown. Let's get a little kosher salt in the pan too. So let's just wait a few minutes, and we'll get these brown. We'll see where they're going. You can see that they're starting to crisp up right now. Not crisp up so much, but get a nice color. You want a little caramelization. There's some nice sugars that are in the squash. This is going to be lovely. Let those go a little bit longer, and I'll be back when these are all ready. Now, I've got almost all the squash done. And you can see as you're going longer, the pan kind of gets hotter and they get a little more brown. So you've got to move them around a little bit. I'm going to add just a touch more of the 2 tablespoons of oil that we've got here. I'm going to add a little kosher salt to the pan. And you can see I'm transferring them into a baking dish. And this is a 8.5 by 11 baking dish that's oven safe. And we're getting there. We'll give it just a few more minutes and we'll be back. It's all ready to go, and we're going to get it into the roasting pan here. Whoops. You know that happens to you too. All right, so let's turn that pan off. We need a little cracked black pepper in here too, some black pepper to taste. Let's do that. Just kind of mix it around a little bit. And let's bring it back to the countertop and get some honey and some butter on this, and then we'll get it into the oven. All right. All right, so what do we have to do here? Now, we've got some butter in the recipe. We've got some chestnut honey. Got some pepitas here and some Italian parsley. So let's get the chestnut honey in. It calls for 2 tablespoons of chestnut honey. This is just beautiful Tuscan chestnut honey. I found this at an Italian market in Seattle called Di Laurenti. You can find it in an Italian market, but you don't need to use chestnut honey. Use your favorite honey. There's all kinds of honey from all over the place, all over the States, up in Canada. Great honeys from all over the world. Use the one that you like. You don't have to use chestnut honey, but I'm being a little fancy. It's an Italian dish. Ethan has a number of Italian restaurants. Rione 13 and Tavolata in Seattle and Spokane and in Boise. Waiting for him to bring one to Ann Arbor. That's 1 tablespoon. Let's get another one in there. So nice. Look at that. Let's see. Oh my God, that's good. All right, so let's get these 2 tablespoons of butter on here. Whew! That honey is so delicious. All right, 2 tablespoons of butter, cut just like that into little cubes. All right, let's throw this in the oven. 375 for 15 to 20 minutes. And we'll be back. All right, let's see, it's 15 minutes. Let's see if this delicata squash is ready to go. I have a little knife. We'll just poke it and see how it is. See? Oh, it's lovely. It's perfect. Check this out. So this is the delicata squash. So fragrant. Now, if you don't have a beautiful dish like this, this can be made on a cookie sheet, a sheet pan. Maybe you put a piece of parchment paper down first. The honey and the squash have all that sugar, they could stick. But you can see just how nice that looks. Now, I'd bring that to the table just like that, but if you didn't, you could transfer it to a nice dish like this. To bring it to the table. Wow. Isn't that nice? Look at that. Sizzle. And that is a pretty dish. Okay, and I have just a little bit of parsley here, and it's rough chopped, just beautiful leaves here. Give it a little color on the plate for presentation, hey? And maybe if you really want to be fancy, you could put a little bit more honey, just like this, around for garnish's sake. All right, let's taste this. It sure looks good. Let's get a bite with some pepita on it. Very nice. Oh, I eat this every day of the week. Try this. Make this. It's so easy. Look how fast that was. Really, these dishes are made to be made 40 minutes from counter to table. What a nice, nutritious dish. Try it out, chemokitchen.com.